Hey everyone, Arthur Fantastic here today, aka the Hot Shot, aka the Bishonen Ronin, coming here to you today to discuss one of guard pulling's biggest proponents, Mike Musemeci. Now, or Musemeci, how the fuck do I say his name? I don't know, I don't pay attention enough. Aka Dark Rigatoni. We'll get about the Darth. We'll get on that in a minute. Maybe later down the line, not a minute. Let me not tease you about something that's going to happen a little bit later. But Mike Musemeci, I haven't made a video about him. I was putting it off, thinking he was going to grow up, have a deeper understanding of grappling, not just the subgenre of grappling, BJJ, but as a person who doesn't wear the gi in competition, rather is doing submission wrestling or grappling, or you could say no gi. I mean, just the idea of labeling wrestling without a gi no gi is such an appeal to BJJ as all of grappling that it is so historically illiterate. I don't know where to begin. Jiu-jitsu is from judo, specifically a type of judo that was passed through these traveling judoka who was training with and competing against catch wrestlers, boxers, and pro wrestlers. Okay, they even did pro wrestling. Mitsumaeda, Kimura. Kimura is famously known for having that shoot match, which wasn't supposed to be a shoot match, against Ricky Dozen. So these ideas that it's called no-gi. So why don't we call wrestling without a gi jacket, judo, no-gi judo? It's getting ridiculous. Sorry, I had to go into that rant there because there's this underlying blind spot. It's this bias. It's this a priori assumption that all grappling is BJJ. Now, as I said, I've been for a long time going to make this video. Obviously, other people are doing a good job about it. They've had their say, and I agree with most of what most people say about Mike Musemeci when it comes to what he's doing wrong. But I'm going to make this video myself, and the reason why I didn't make this video about Mike Musemeci is because I thought he was a different age. So let's start with the catalyst that sent me on this journey to actually make this video.
So let me just make an example, okay?
Yeah.
So Gordon Ryan's 1 year older than me.
Yeah.
He looks like he's 40.
Yeah.
Are we the same? Are we 1 year apart? Like how?
Yeah.
There's so many things in this video that are going on all at once that it made me freeze and jaw drop and not know what to say. Like even right now, I am summoning the power to completely express myself on this fucking clip. Gordon Ryan is 1 year older than him. Gordon Ryan's 29. Mike Musemeci is 28 years old. Okay? Gordon Ryan has a beard and he dyes it white. But when you see him in good shape, not when he's sick and he's all like lost the weight and he's just looking bit down, but when he's in good shape, he doesn't look like he's 40. Okay? You look like you're 12. I thought you were 16 or 19 or something, maybe a little bit underdeveloped because you got to stay low weight. And you're just going to eventually grow up to be a full martial artist. But in reality, you're actually just almost 30-year-old guy that acts like a boy. You always act like you're a victim. And for example, Gordon Ryan. He wants to talk shit about Gordon Ryan. But if anyone talks shit about him, he's like on the verge of crying. And I am so the energy because I have to fight back against these bullies. But you talk shit about people, which he will consistently do through this video, and he's the hero. Here's the problem. Mike Musemeci thinks that he's the fucking hero. So when he says shit, aside from his high-pitched, squeaky, stumbling over his words, talks too fast because he thinks he's intelligent, so he talks fast, like, not masculine voice. Aside from all that, that's fucking just like fucking against the chalkboard for me. He is now going to literally talk shit about someone and think that he is in the correct position because no one's ever challenged him around him, and he just like, rejects everybody else. That because either he's never had this like this thought out loud for anyone to contradict him with, because even Mighty Mouse is like, oh well, genetics. You'll see in a second, but he's like so satisfied with saying it. Oh, he looks like he's 40. What are you, a teen girl? You're almost 30 and you look like a child. And you're talking about another man and what he looks like? He's in amazing shape. Gordon Ryan's in amazing shape. Fucking Andre Galvao was in amazing shape. Vitor Belfort been fucking juicing up since he was 19 in the first couple of UFCs. He still looks fucking amazing. Oh, but 20 years from now, you're not going to be able to compete. He's still competing. He just boxed. I don't understand what's actually going on here with Mike Musemeci, well, actually, I think I do. He thinks he's a nerd, and so he's so, like, sold off his own bullshit that he has not actually discussed this with other people, and thinks that what he's saying is so hot shit that everybody's going to laugh, you know what I mean? And Mighty Mouse is a good friend and host, is laughing and playing along. He's going to give him a little pushback in a moment here. But the key that I want you to take away from this is I didn't make a video about Mike because I thought he was a kid this entire time. Oh, he's such a wonder-kid young guy just coming up through the... He's 28? He's 28 and he acts like this? Guys, I'll come back to this whole like, oh, I'm outraged about shit-talking, but then shit talks about shit-talking, the shit-talkers. So now he's actually participating in the thing that he says that is bad, and they're ergo being hypocritical. Oh, I'm just calling people out. Well, what do you think shit-talking is? Oh, you're just making fun of me. I'm just getting bullied. Dude, you're fucking 28 and you're in prize fighting where you're trying to sell a fight and fucking gain hype. It's like for some reason this new generation all have, I don't know if it's Big Macs or Whoppers, but they got this Asperger's where they don't fucking understand how business works. He's going to talk all about the business like that doesn't happen unless you make a name for yourself, and it isn't just competition. It's exposure to the possible viewers that you're trying to pull in. How do we get that? Not by being quiet little dinguses that, oh, shit talking's bad, but I'm going to shit talk other people because I don't like the thing that they're doing. Rules for thee, but not for me. We call this hypocrisy. Don't like it. Hate hypocrites, and that's my biggest problem with Mike. We're going to continue on here.
Yeah. Possible.
Well, you also gotta look at genetics too. People,
But all the guys that are on steroids, their bodies aged like 20 years.
Oh, well, of course, because
that's what I'm saying. My body's like 20. His body's like 40.
Yes, because he put his body through that stress. Yep. Obviously, the gut issues.
But short term, like long term, I could compete like another 20 years if I want to.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know where to begin once again. I mean, as I said, names like Vitor Belfort, who have been, a.k.a. Vitor Gracie, if those who want to look that up, he used to be called himself Gracie, and the Gracies were totally okay with it, until he lost. Vitor is known to be juicing since he was childhood. I mean, in Brazil, you could just go to the pharmacy and get over-the-counter Grabroids. It's not like that in America. So really what Mike is saying is a very American-centric thought process, maybe the DARE program, that he's just regurgitating. If you just look around and see all the pro wrestlers and the pro fighters that didn't fucking burn the candle at both ends and were doing roids, they are all doing just fine. And some of them are still competing. And the people who are popping all the time, John Jones, Anderson Silva, these are some of the greatest mixed martial arts of all time. I mean, I don't agree that John Jones, I'm just making the argument. I think John Jones is a piece of shit who pokes people in the eye, kicks them in the nuts, and cheats, and kicks them in the knee, which are all dishonorable things. That being said, this whole Mike Musemeci, they won't be able to last this long. I'll be able to go 20 years. Well, you're saying that now, and then maybe you get a fucking catastrophic injury that is more than something you've dealt before now that you're getting older, and maybe you'll want to be on TRT. And all this time you're talking shit about people, you know what I mean, while weighing 130 fucking pounds. Not everybody weighs your weight. And that's not easy for everyone. Okay? All right? Gordon Ryan grows a fucking beard, gains some muscle, and you fucking call him 40? What the hell's wrong with you? That's some fucking stop drinking the haterade. That's what they chose. Okay? It's not like he's fucking shooting heroin or some other fucking thing. These are natural testosterones, and there are a number of things in the environment as it is now for the current 2024 person with the plastics and a number of, I won't even go into estrogenic compounds that are in everyday life that is driving down testosterone. I think you might be just hating a little bit because it's hard to grow a beard. The man in front of you, Mighty Mouse, has a beard. Is he 40? How old? I don't think you're. Well, that's because he's your same height and weight. Oh well, I guess Gordon Ryan's it is posing as intellectual, like he knows what he's talking about. In reality, he's just hating. He's literally just being a hater, and yet that's what he sees in everyone else that has any kind of critique or opposing opinion. Okay, you're gonna see this. You're gonna continue to see Mike Musemeci. Oh, I'm the victim, and everybody that said, oh, they're just the haters. They're just the haters. If you want to support Mighty Mouse, I encourage you to go watch that. It's so hard listening to Mike Musemeci talk. I like Mighty Mouse sometimes. It's hit or miss. I don't agree with everything he says, but he does great work. Fucking awesome channel, my guy. But Mike Musemeci, it's like listening to him is just fucking. It makes me want to punch someone in the face. Segueing into the next clip. The next clip, or a couple of clips, are going to be about Mike Musemeci defending the idea of pulling guard, while, if you just let people talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves, will tell on himself why he doesn't wrestle with people. Okay? Just listen, and then I'll come back and give some commentary on what I think he's actually saying.
Double leg, single leg. And then you go into the adult class and you try to shoot on them and they sprawl on you. And you're like, screw this. I'm not shooting ever again.
And gotcha. And that's why when we're training today, you're like, I'm not fucking shooting the scoot.
So this first clip is pretty clear. He starts with talking about how when he was competing when he was younger, he would go for single legs, he'd go for double legs. But now when he went into the adult classes, he was like, oh no, I'm not shooting anymore. Okay. Yeah. Translation. It's hard to wrestle. I don't wrestle enough in the gym. So instead of wrestling somebody, I'm going to play and pull guard. And many times this is seated guard. You're just sitting down to guard. Now, this is, as I discussed, which I'll touch on for a couple seconds here, not a genuine way to interact with someone if they're trying to fight. If it was in a street and somebody had a knife or trying to attack your friends or trying to attack your family or trying to attack you, if you couldn't run and you had to fight, you're not sitting on the ground and then expecting them to walk into your guard. But because we can game the rules and we know that they have to engage our guards, us sitting guard is ruled as, okay, you can do that. The rules don't say you you can't do that. It doesn't say no sitting guard, but except ADCC, which Mike Musemeci did not ever compete in, and that's only in the finals. He explains, oh, they're too big and this, that, the other thing, but now he's going against. No, it doesn't matter. I see this as a blatant admission that he doesn't like wrestling. It's too hard because someone sprawls on him. I mean, yeah, that's a part of wrestling. You think wrestlers don't get fucking sprawled on? Oh, well, I got sprawled on, so I'm not going to go and there's upper body. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's so much other shit that could be integrated into a system that isn't shooting for a double or a single. Is no one also not told him that? There's like upper body, you know what I mean? If you go upper body, you can sprawl on someone else. Isn't that such an effective thing that you're avoiding it? Why don't you sprawl on someone? Because you're so afraid to wrestle with someone? It's beginning to take it form. Whatever the hell he's actually trying to say, which he isn't saying, and we have to read between the lines to understand.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, like we talk about it today, right? You have so many different things going on. You have karate combat. They have a jiu-jitsu thing. You have ADXC. They have jiu-jitsu. You have ADCC. You have IBJJF.
So many different rule sets.
So many different rule sets, right? And I think the biggest thing, a lot of MMA guys are starting to come to jiu-jitsu. We just had Uriah Faber take on Bibiano Fernandez. Yep. You had Aljamain Sterling making his tread in there.
And I respect them so much for doing that, by the way, because they're helping jiu-jitsu people that have no name. They help them grow our brand,
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not really sure where Mighty Mouse is going with that, talking about all the rule sets, because all those rule sets allow for pulling guard, except ADC kind of discourage it, and in the finals. All the other ones, they do not discourage guard pulling. We might kind of see maybe a little bit more of wrestling because of the pit walls, which people are at a disadvantage if they're grappling on that. So they'll try to not be pushed up against the pit walls. Same goes for CJI. It's the environment. But now CJI, they're starting to penalize people for pulling guard via stalling, because it is a lot of stalling when you're pulling guard. You're just waiting for them to come into your guard and then counter their action. That isn't an aggressive stance. So it's important to know that what people are doing when they're sitting down on their butt and pulling guard is they're waiting for the other person to come down and engage them. Sometimes, and it's these grapplers like Nicky Rod, Aljamain Sterling, they go down to a knee and the butt, and they'll also shoot from there, but attack the legs. A lot of people are just like flailing for the legs, completely open in the face. Just relying on that this other person has to engage in them and can't stomp them right in the face. There isn't that, okay, I'm going to take this to the point where, okay, two men are fighting, we're going to take it to the ground, and if I put myself in a position where I can be like really dominated by another person, it's not good. And so we award that more points. Like when a person is in side mount, you can knee them in the face, you can kneel on their face, you can punch them and hammer fist them, in addition to any kind of grappling. But because we're taking out the attacks, do we then say, oh, well, it's okay for a person to just allow another person to take side mount or side control, whatever the fuck you want to call it? No. So why is it that when a person gets on top of you from a standing position where they can strike and do all sorts of things that don't have to include, oh, I'm just going to walk into their guard and try to pass. Like, why is that not being computed by so-called jiu-jitsu nerds? Because they're not jiu-jitsu nerds. They're jiu-jitsu fanboys who love playing guard. There's a difference. A nerd would realize, oh, this is a good position to develop. This is a good place to be if I'm on the defense. But it's a defensive position that you can do offensive things from. But it's a defensive position because you're on bottom. You want to control them. All the early guard systems that were being taught, whether it's 10th Planet, which was relatively new compared to the original, Henzo and Kukuk videos, which were about controls, arm controls and pins of the arm so they don't strike you in the fucking face. We have moved so far from that now our game is so sport oriented that young kids who are doing sports jiu-jitsu are pulling guard in the street and getting kicked in the fucking face and stomped in the fucking face. I'm there's a level to, yes, this is good to develop, but it doesn't mean you forsake wrestling because now you are becoming less of a full, well-rounded martial artist. You're becoming a specialist, and a specialist can't fucking adapt to shit when they need to, like not getting stomped and punched in the face, or let's say I just don't pass. How about I just kick you in the legs like Sakuraba? It's and what about the street? Do you want to just pull guard, and would this person have friends? This is preparation for battle. This is supposed to prepare people for fighting and reward control and advantageous positions, not just to be better able to attack a person or control them, but to actually physically strike them. That being said, let's move on to whatever next click I have.
So when you're pulling guard, it makes sense because you don't want to shoot and force it. But like you said before, your argument was good, is that it's sport jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
The name of the game is to submit you as fast as possible.
As fast as you can. So that's me throwing punches to knock the person out, the equivalent. Because I'm just looking for the finish.
Yep.
I don't want to waste time just standing for 10 minutes, Like.
All right. 3 claims were made in this one clip, and let's test them. First off, he's saying that this is the fastest way to go for I'm just going for the finish fastest. Who can finish the quickest? Wouldn't the quickest finish be a standing or jumping submission? Which I'm not even a fan of jumping submissions too much because you're just relying on the mat being there. You don't want to be jumping armbar on concrete unless you do it really, really properly, which is to curl them up and break their posture and bring them down. Whatever. I mean, but that's not what's happening in sports jiu-jitsu sometimes. Nonetheless, I love watching it. The fastest would be a jumping or standing submission, right? It wouldn't be sit down and then wait for them to engage you and then attack. So off the rip, no, that isn't the quickest way to the finish. It's the quickest way to you, because you have specialized in the guard play, to finish. It is not the actual quickest way. It's just the quickest way in your particular personal style of meta, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're going by fair play. Oh, fair play. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what's fair? The rules doesn't say it. Okay, I guess so. But now, if we start making rules that don't allow it, I hope to see you wrestle, because you're going to see, as rule sets go forward, to become more wrestling dominated, because that's more viewer friendly and exciting, even to fans, as we saw in CJI, as I broke it down in the videos. The crowd is fucking literally booing people pulling guard. And this is CJI. These are the people who would be at ADCC watching. You know what I mean? They're buying tickets to go to a fucking grappling event to watch. These are not just fucking, casual fans. These are people who are spending their money to go to Las Vegas to watch people grapple. And they're like, he's pulling fucking guard. Come on. It is what it is, because it is simple and understandable that two men, when they're about to fight, one doesn't lay on the ground and then, get in my guard. You know what I'm saying? Let me chase you after on the ground. It's a joke. It's what clowns do at a circus. You know what I mean? It's a joke. But we're taking it seriously because, despite it being ridiculous, it is essentially gaming the system to allow them to skip all the parts that may be difficult and hard to learn. Oh yeah, I guess we'll just skip all the hard stuff and get to where he has specialized in. Fair enough. If I'm gonna fight somebody, I want to bring them into an alley where they're too tall, but I'm just tall enough, and the sides are just so that I can beat the shit out of them. And yeah, of course, I want to box somebody in with my entire team if I'm gonna fucking have a shootout with them. Yeah, of course. Strategically, that's smart. But is that going to add viewers and entertainment value to the sport, which you discussed through this entire video? But that isn't what's important to you, Mikey. It's what I don't care about winning, he says in another video, which I'll include. Or make another video. He is bullshitting to the umpteenth degree. So we said the finishes. Now let's talk about. It's like throwing punches. It's like throwing punches. I'm like, oh, this is the equivalent of throwing punches. No, him passing is the equivalent to punches. You countering, a counter fighter taking submission attempts off his pass and him engaging you, which you couldn't do if he just kept breaking grips and stepping out. It would be a total draw. He with him on top. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't be fun to watch either. So there's got to be somewhere in between. The issue, though, is instead of embracing the wrestling portion, he is going to condemn it throughout this interview. One of the things that we see in, like, boxing, wrestling, there are some sports maneuvers where we are flipping them and getting extra back points, or there's certain breaking of clinches. So there is such thing as sport, right? But it isn't at the detriment of what is reality. We're not going to allow people to just start it, like, in their favorite distance with another person. They have to get to that distance. We're not going to allow them to, I'm going to allow you with a frame right here and your arm cocked back. No, why? Why would I? If you want them to get in your guard, pull guard in a way that isn't butt scooting. That isn't just sitting down in front of a person. There are tons of ways. Eddie Bravo would pull half guard. I love it. I love that idea. I would pull half guard. That's beautiful. Okay, I can't get this person down. This guy's a better wrestler. Then I'll pull half guard. I'll pull it in a way that I will pull them down. I'm not going to sit and put my feet around him. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the objective problem of understanding that just sitting down in front of a person is completely like a disingenuous way to play a game. You know what I mean? It's like we've gone through enough of this particular subject, the seated guard. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. It's just bullshit.
Like RDR versus Ty, one of the matches in Denver last year.
I remember that.
They were just wall wrestling the whole time.
Yep.
And it was very technical probably for like the hardcore fans that know wrestling and wall wrestling. But they didn't do any finishes the whole match.
I've discussed this whole stalling in the guard from both perspectives in my Ruleset series. But here we are again. Yes, cage wrestling is boring. I agree with Mike Musemeci. But the matches where people pull guard and it's boring and there's no submission, that's also boring for me. So you're just pointing out they're wrestling and they just stalemated each other against the cage. Well, yeah, I think that's the problem of having the cage. I don't think that's the problem of the pit. I don't think that's the problem of elevated platforms with no ring around it. So that's more indicative of the environment they are in than it is about the skill level or what would happen if there's more wrestling and they stalemate each other on the feet. There's more to do. Okay? Not everyone just wants to be on bottom. Okay? That's also true. You're also basically sneak dissing them, saying that, oh, well, they don't want to play bottom game. Okay, neither one of them wanted to play bottom. How dare they? They didn't want to play a garch. You play a garch. I'm sorry. Well, so what? They decided to wrestle. And I agree that cage wrestling, while it has its own merits as a subgenre of grappling, I don't find it very entertaining, but maybe it could be put in an entertaining way, promotional wise. I mean, fucking card jitsu's fucking awesome. So, nonetheless, I'm going on a tangent here. Just bringing it back to what is being said here. Can we acknowledge that there are also times where people just pull guard and, I think his name's Puya, going against Duarte. They are going, I think it was Kane and Duarte. They were going against each other, and Duarte's pulling guard, and Puya would just go in his guard, do a little bit of something, and then get up, and then re-engage. And I'm like, he's stalling. But now that I'm thinking about it, why isn't Kane and Duarte getting up and then grappling him? He just got off him. Get up and fucking go after him. But he's not. He's staying on the ground. You know why? Because he's not being the aggressor. And now I think that match made a whole lot more sense. I did see him winning the entire thing, but I just also saw him stalling a lot. So it is what it is. And now I realize when a person is getting up off you and you're in your real fight, the first thing you want to do is get the fuck up. Only in sports jiu-jitsu, hopefully we can change these rules where you don't just stay on the ground and scoot at a person. You can only be allowed to stay on the ground like that for some time after someone disengages you, and then you have to stand up, you know what I mean, type of thing, because that isn't true to the spirit of what fighting is. You wouldn't stay on the ground like that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And he's pointing out the problems of cage wrestling, not two people grappling, and he's trying to make that the crux of what it's going to look like when people who don't know how to wrestle more. I blame the cage. I don't blame their skill level. I completely blame the cage, because that's what ends up happening. You get up, if you're in a cage and you're both good wrestlers, one of you is going to be pushed up against the cage. The pit wall allows for grappling and makes it more exciting because you don't want to get up against that wall. But also gives you the ability to kind of escape. But I'll let those people who watch Karate Combat and the CJI make those observations by watching. On to the next.
You see, the problem is we need viewership. If we're not having viewership, how could you ask for more money? So I think these places like ADCC, IBJJF, like, I'm not complaining about them not giving us money. I think they're great to help build people's brands.
Yep. Well, I don't know, build people's brands.
Like meeting people, building your name, getting the titles, to
Give me
build
the
your
platform,
name,
yes.
and then going professional, like the one championship.
Yep.
That's where you could actually make money, like a professional athlete.
Yeah, but that's only. But once again,
the 1%.
That's
the goal in Jiu-Jitsu one day is to have multiple people making money, not just us, Rotolos, Craig,
that's what I was gonna say.
Gordon.
That's Mikey and Rotolo. That's the Musemeci and so.
But that's why we're doing this. That's why we've been pushing it so hard to try to create a platform for other people to make money.
Yeah.
And Craig doing this also is helping us so much as well.
Guys, even for people who do jiu-jitsu, people doing the double guard pull, which happens, starting to happen a lot, is a joke. And that's going to make Brazilian jiu-jitsu a joke, because it happens not because no one jumps guard. People jump guard just like that, to that little S octopus guard, whatever you want to call it, because they people call it different things. That seated upright guard that's almost ready to kind of windshield wipe the shin so that you can kind of go forward into a wrestling motion. Go for a single leg. I had to actually have a clip of it in Catch Digest 1 for those interested. I've been kind of connecting basically how a lot of the modern movement of jiu-jitsu and grappling and the submission wrestling world is been moving forward because of catch wrestling and wrestling type ideas, basically going back, taking catch wrestling ideas. And people want to think that catch wrestling is like, oh, that's a long time ago, and those are the old-timey people. That they've been doing catch wrestling in Japan, in Shuto and Pancrase. A lot of those fighters are coming out of a submission wrestling based style, or at least influenced, which in part was started by catch wrestling. The Snake Pit, catch wrestlers going to Japan. Okay. Let me get back on track. You can go watch all that stuff on my other videos talking about catch wrestling, and if you just look it up, you'll find out a lot of information. So just finishing my thought, even for people who watch the sport, double pulling guard it's boring. It's not fun. It's a joke. How is a sport who isn't doing anything exciting and going right into the specialist stuff, stuff that we don't understand? Okay, the general public has to be understanding to know all that stuff. But they understand taking a dude down and being on top. You know what I mean? And being the person who is in an advantageous situation, which pretty much everybody agrees with, that being on top is being in the more advantageous situation. And the guard, despite it being a good defensive situation, is not where we're trying to go. Okay, you look at Hickson Gracie, you look at Hoist Gracie, you look at all these Gracies. You look at Hickson. Why is he wearing those white knee pads? Because he's going in for the takedowns. He's trying to get on top. You look at all those gym raid videos and gym challenges. They take him down. Take him down, Andy. Take him down. Andy, take him down. You take him down, and then you get on top with the takedown, or in some type of transition if you land on bottom, because you've been also specializing in bottom guard work, because everything on bottom guard work is a sweep or to get on top to then attack, with the attacks from bottom being obviously also offensively advantageous. But you don't see any of the original jiu-jitsu Gracies doing many of them in these challenges, because they want to get on top in a dominant position, also strike back, give them a little bit of that. Needless to say, there has been this lost in translation of time through the medium of sports jiu-jitsu, and people understand wrestling. You don't even have to be a wrestler to understand wrestling, because everybody's wrestled with one another. Children watch pro wrestling, you know what I mean? They might wrestle with their dad, even though it's just becoming less and less prevalent because society is fucking pulling dads from their children. Most people who have their dads will wrestle with their dads, or their brothers and sisters. Fucking damn, it just fucking happens. But to understand the jiu-jitsu game and all that passing, you have to take a little bit more interest. And there has been some barriers making it interesting for the public. I recently interviewed Jake Shannon. I've talked to a lot of people on this very subject. They'll take them to these grappling shows and judo shows and wrestling shows, and it's just sometimes the over specialization and the confusing way that it looks like one person's winning and the other person's winning because of the rules, and it's just I just don't want to watch that. And if it's hard to understand, then it's going to be hard to bet on, and that is what makes sports thrive. Is that You can put betting lines on this and then bet. Okay? There are large... Why is it taking place in Vegas, the World Championship? Why is all these lines on and odds on fighters at the UFC and boxing? Because it's about the bet money. The odds is about bets, who's likely to win, and the odds are talking about how much you can get on a normal bet, plus 100, minus 100. You need this much to get this much. That all being said, that's a little bet gambling knowledge for you. Let's move on to the next little portion here. They're going to talk more about this subject.
So how
jiu-jitsu for the non-nerds of jiu-jitsu is very boring to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't expect people to watch that.
Well, I think they're just not educated.
It's beautiful. No, yeah, they're not educated.
Yep.
It's beautiful for us.
Yes.
Like I'm the
We
biggest
love
jiu-jitsu
it.
nerd. I love those matches.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for the people that small segment of jiu-jitsu could watch it, but not the whole segment in general. The MMA fans, they'll be like, what the hell is this?
Yes, exactly. And it's something I talked to Bear at Show Your Roll about. This, like, dude, how the fuck
love
this
Bear.
how the fuck does Power Slap have all these viewership,
Instant excitement.
and it's also, I mean, Dana White said it's worth like a $500 million business right now. And how can you translate that excitement into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
The reason Power Slap is so widely popular is because you understand a slap. It's visceral. You've seen the slap. You know that motherfucker's going for that slap. You know that other motherfucker is not fucking faking getting hit in that slap. There is no like, oh, well, he's going to fall to the ground so that he can give you a counter slap. It's like you're going to each take your turn and slap. It's easy to fucking understand, and you can bet on it. Those are the two fucking points. You can bet on it. It's profitable to be a bookie for sports betting because there's enough people making bets and know about it. And people fucking understand it. It's easy to fucking understand. Okay? When we look at, because, there's so much high specialization. You know what I mean? People who want to fix fights, it's going to be hard maybe for the normal person to be like, oh, this is a fixed fight. Or maybe they'll think it's a fixed fight. Oh, why didn't they just do this or that? It's hard to understand that. Why do you just sit down? You know what I mean? There has to be some type of go toward the fucking goal. And anywhere backward movement has to be in some way penalized. But in the very essence of pulling guard is going, so there's two people, the other person is going back and down to be in a seated guard. It's literally going backward. There are other people that go to a position to then shoot forward, but there are many people that just go straight to their butt, and now they're just looking up this person. They're like, come down here. Get in my guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty silly. And no one wants to see that. That's not fucking fun. You go, oh, get in my guard. You know that you have to get down here. And you get down here, young man. And then let me counter you as you fucking try to pass me. There has to be some kind of penalization for staying on the ground for that long. It's like how lazy do you have to be? You know what I mean? To just absolutely not even, I'm going to sit here. Okay, I guess I'll scoot towards you. I'm not even going to get up. It's just like, to outside viewer, it just looks so ridiculous. It looks so ridiculous. It's not. We're not in the wrestling room, the grappling room, the jiu-jitsu room. We're not in the padded room anymore. We're trying to go for a fight, and we're just like literally flopping to our butts and waiting for this other person. And then we're gonna say, "Oh, well, I was going for all these attacks." No, you literally sat down, and you wait for them to get on top of you to then wait for them to attack, and then you attack them. Kind of really silly. It's pretty simple why there isn't all this. Excitement over jiu-jitsu. There's not a lot of betting. No one understands it, and that's something that plagues a lot of martial arts grappling styles, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And why things like power slap, is it called? It can be so popular. I mean, I don't even fucking watch it. I've seen reactions of other people watching it. or like highlights in the reels. You know what I mean? It just goes through my algorithm. I guess it gets tied along with the boxing and everything. But I'm not watching a whole fucking event. That's nuts. People are. They like it. They whatever. Power to them. It's easier to understand. It's fucking hilarious when somebody gets knocked out. I get it. Maybe put that on in the background. But do you have to pay pay-per-view for these things? Or is that just on UFC Fight Pass? Well, that means you're still paying a subscription. Maybe, well, I guess it's like now you have UFC, but it's cable and you have something to put on. I don't know. I'm not trying to figure it out myself. It's not that confusing. Some people like watching that shit. There's money involved. People be fucking. That's what I see. People be making their parlays in their fucking power slap games. All right, cool.
What is your opinion on that? How can we make jiu-jitsu exciting? Because, for example, if you have two guys wrestling in jiu-jitsu, we're not very high-level wrestlers.
Yeah.
So even if you watch us wrestle, right, you'll watch it like, oh, they're like probably blue, purple, like the top wrestlers in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's not beautiful to watch that.
It's not beautiful to watch that, he said, begging the audience to believe him. Okay, so we got a couple of things here in this one clip. He's basically telling you, I'm not a good wrestler, and most jiu-jitsu guys aren't good wrestlers. So instead of improving their wrestling game, have schools have more wrestling, because in real life, since we're going to school to learn martial arts and self-defense and well-rounded martial arts skills to be a martial artist, not just a jiu-jitsu player who plays sometimes, but to be able to defend ourselves and the people around us. I mean, I think that should be the key in every martial arts arts, to be able to protect themselves and the people around them. Damn, my traps look fucking huge. I just don't understand why he is so bearing down on wrestling. Oh, that's not beautiful watch. Well, yeah, it's not fucking watching two fucking collegiate wrestlers, but we're seeing blue belts and purple belts and brown belts with great wrestling. And I understand that there is ways to sumigashi and have ties and pull a person down, and there's ways to sit guard and attack once again, and there's all these there's Imanari rolls, and there's all these other things. I wouldn't Imanari roll on the concrete, but hey, fuck, dude, it could work in fucking public. I just wouldn't fucking recommend to do a lot of the sports jiu-jitsu stuff, because if you miss and a person isn't the type of person that's afraid of stomping on another person's face, that could happen. And if you just watch enough clips online, you'll see it happen enough times to be like, I don't want that to be me, getting a soccer kicked in the face with my head pinned up against the wall, so there's no way for my body to defer any energy, and I'm just taking it straight in the face. You don't want that. You don't want to be fucking soccer kicked while on the ground. Have you ever trained that? Maybe that will maybe train one time with soccer kicks and stomps around, and maybe that will rattle your brain into understanding why we shouldn't be just sitting guard, and then I'm reaching out for the hand and trying to grab the ankles. Okay, you look like a baby trying to grip out for a parent, as opposed to, there's ways to do it where you're attacking them and wrestling up like Nikki Ryan, and sitting into almost like a seated wrestler base like Nikki Rod. Both of the Nickies, huh? They got something going there. Anyway, at B Team, shout out to B Team. Also, shout out to Karate Combat. They also fucking mentioned Karate Combat. What's up? I'm talking about Karate Combat. I break down the matches. If you want to see that, check out my channel here, Arthur Fantastic. Moving forward, he shows that he doesn't really respect wrestling, even if it's just, it kind of looks amateurish. Still think it's beautiful. I think this wrestling can still be and better if we allow our athletes to fucking do it more, and we encourage the schools to have that type of, okay, you want to start standing, because real life doesn't start on the fucking ground. Okay, we can do some rounds from the knees. We can do, but we have to do some. Oh well, I mean, takedowns. That's dangerous. People might get hurt. Jesus. Anyway, that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem, guys.
So do you
So
think...
it's a everything's double standards, even guard pulling.
Yeah.
You know what? You see now a lot of D1 wrestlers like from Penn State. RBY was training with me. I'm friends with him. I think he's going to come back to Vegas and train with me more. But all these guys are coming to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So the jiu-jitsu phase right now of wrestling, look at us, we're doing wrestling.
Yep.
They're all going to be guard pullers.
Yep.
There's no fucking way they're going to be wrestling with D1 wrestlers. Am I right? Am I right? No. So the trend of jiu-jitsu right now, oh, that shit's gay, pulling guard, this and that.
No.
The second those D1 wrestlers are in jiu-jitsu, they're all playing guard.
Yeah.
If they like it or not.
Well, I think we discussed the whole guard pulling today, right? Like we
No, but you know what I mean. Like so everything I'm noticing in jiu-jitsu, people there's double standards. People talk shit about things, then the second something else happens, then they flip and they're like, oh, so it's not real. Like they don't stay with their stand.
Cade and Ty Richulo have entered the chat. See, what he's saying is he's being really dismissive of people and their grittiness and their ability to wrestle a D1 wrestler. But that we just saw Ty and Cade go against, we saw Cade go against Andrew Tacker with that high level wrestling. I mean, it wasn't fucking collegiate, maybe, world level. It might be even collegiate level. You might see that, they might have saw that scrap in a collegiate mat, maybe, I don't know. If they're, it was pretty intense. But they were wrestling. Same goes for Ty and Jason Rolfe of fucking Division 1. They were fucking going head to head on the feet. And sure, Jason was able to take him down, but he still was able to leverage his submission threats and his attacks and eventually get the finish. Okay? This isn't fucking rocket science. Yeah, like I'm not going to be able to out wrestle a Division 1 wrestler. Maybe. I don't have any high level of credit. Maybe if he was hurt or something, or I was able to attack like a weakness or something, grab one of his fingers and just turn it. I don't know, but every dog has its day, right? But that doesn't mean that me playing guard when he takes me down, or me taking half guard is me taking a seated guard. And when you go to half guard, there's fucking dogfights one fucking little step away, and that's right going back into a wrestling type of scramble. And it's like I foresee the ability to out jiu-jitsu a wrestler is going to be just as necessary as being able to out wrestle a jiu-jitsu terra. Because they are not seeing that connection of why things aren't fucking become more widespread. Rather, if you're allowing more of the standing portion to mean something, then people of standing grappling sports might be there more. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that there aren't successful judo and wrestlers that are already been in grappling for a long time. Now we're seeing high level Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 wrestlers at high levels in grappling. And we're going to call what Nicky Rod is doing pulling guard, like setted guard and just like waiting for someone to walk into his arm? Or is he playing an aggressive wrestling-based guard? Is Nicky Ryan with this Wrestle Up series, which everybody's trying to already has been playing with and innovating themselves. These concepts are all based on basically just standing up with the Craig Jones and the power rides and all of he's saying. He literally says, I'm taking folk style wrestling and reapplying it to jiu-jitsu. Folk style wrestling, freestyle / folk style collegiate wrestling was originally called amateur catch wrestling when it was introduced to the Olympics, and it became what it is today, folk style and freestyle, as it moved away from the catch terms because people were sometimes getting hurt, sometimes dying. And then you had the whole pro wrestling fixed matches debacle, which is like people really believe that pro wrestling was real. And it's because they don't know. Because they don't know what the fuck is going on. Most people don't go to that high level of grappling. So they're like, oh, of course. People know how to wrestle. Okay, but oh, wow, and that ring stuff, man, because that be real? That's why children can fucking believe that pro wrestling is real. Oh, anyway, I've gone way off track. The point of all of what I've been saying here is that there is an obvious glaring issue with Mike Musemeci, and he said that he doesn't want to acknowledge that he is completely biased against wrestling. He is deluding himself for his guard pulling bullshit, and he's always crying this victim. Okay, and that's going to be the next video because this one has gone on too long. Needless to say, though, we're seeing the cracks in the armor of the nice guy facade that Mike Musemeci wants to project. But now it's starting to make more sense with that Darth shit. Because he seems to be speaking out both sides of his mouth. Oh, shit talking, that's bad. We'll see this more in the next video and how he uses this image like Darth Jar Jar. For people in the know, Darth Jar Jar. Okay. And Emperor Palpatine before he was revealed to be the dark side. Okay. The image of what they project is not necessarily what they actually are inside. That's the classic bad guy, one of the bad guy archetypes. Think like Demon Slayer. Okay. He's projecting this. Oh, you know, I don't want to say Dexter's a bad guy, right? But, you know, this whole psychopath. I project this, but I'm actually this type of thing. I there's something about that in Darth Riccatoni over here, Mike Musemeci. Is he truly for the dark side? I was going to I started this video out to say he is no Sith, but then again, maybe he is. Maybe he truly is a Sith. What's all this talk about? It's for the children. When you want to be a Sith Lord, that's fine. You can be the Sith Lord. Very, very tricky. Maybe he is using the dark side. Mighty Mouse alluded to this in his video too. Is he also a Sith? Regardless, all this is to say this. What the fuck is going on with Mike Musemeci where he looks like a child and is fucking calling other people old? And he wants to talk about not shit talking? That seems like shit talking. You just want, you shit talk the things that you don't like. In fact, people will shit talk you, you won't say anything, but then when you win, when everybody's supposed to be gracious, right? That's when you start your shit talking. That's the worst kind of winner. And I'm going to be pointing that out in the next couple videos. Anyway, this was this breakdown of this Mighty Mouse interview, and the reveal of the bias of Mike Musemeci. He's like he does not like wrestlers. He does not like wrestling. He sees it as clunky when it's these, it's blue belts and purple. It's blue belts and purple belts look clunky sometimes doing their jiu-jitsu. So let's not fucking delude ourselves on what the fuck is happening out there on the mats and allow them to build their they're not black belts yet. Allow them to build. Okay? If you don't allow them to build their fucking stand up and you're like, the competition, and so we don't have to do it there. So you don't put it in the competition, no one's going to train it because they're training for competition. This competition is essentially what the focus of a lot of gyms are, because they feel like that's the way to pressure test what they're doing, is being competitive. And if the competition doesn't actually foster stand-up wrestling, which is a major part of what would happen in a real life scenario defending themselves, then they won't be prepared and start fucking pulling sports guards and fucking in the street. And that's what they're doing. It was supposed to be a meme. It was supposed to be a meme. It was supposed to be a joke. Okay? Yeah, can it compare? Some people get away with it. Yeah, probably high level guys can. Some people get against complete knobs. Yeah, absolutely. Is a punch to the face going to change it for most people though? Yes, it is. And no one is fucking going to prepare if you could at least prepare them to take them down and finish them, it would be so much more applicable to self-defense. And I thought that's what we're doing, preparing the next generation to defend themselves and be better fighters. And you want to talk about shit talking? Well, being a shit talker yourself. maybe there's some hypocrisy that needs to be pointed out in Mike Musemeci. This ain't hate. This ain't it's all love. I can't fucking do it like an MMA guru. But honestly, we'll see what happens with the whole Mike Musemeci story of development, because where he is now and where he'll be in a couple of years could be completely different. But the way he sounds like the son from Bernie Mac. Like, God, why are you being such a dweeb? If you're my little brother, I'd be like, stop it, stop being a dweeb. But see, Olivia, this is my big brother advice to him, to reconsider his whole fucking biases against wrestling, and his whole like, oh, they're just gonna pull a guy. They're just gonna pull. Yeah, they might pull guard. Yeah, okay. They might pull someone down into guard. They might be play guard. He's like, oh, they're gonna play guard. Yeah, of course. Cash wrestlers play guard. They call it side scissors or whatever. It's like, why the fuck is that the point? The point is, should people be just sitting down in the guard? Gosh, we're already allowing a lot when people go down into that little seated guard and go shoot. Like, this is that's kind of gaming the system too. But it works though. It could work in the real world, and it probably does a lot better than one would anticipate, because it would stuff any kicks as you come in. You look at Sakuraba and a lot of the low single Japanese fighters, which we are seeing in the Olympics now, the low single. Hey, things are like, it's cyclical. If you were fucking looking at wrestling, you fucking know this already. But I think that I'm done with what I've got to say on this video. Pass it on. You don't want to fuck with the fantastic one. Stay up, stay vigilant, stay locked and loaded. Shalom, shalom. Peace in. See you in the next video.